I'd like to thank everyone for coming this morning. We all have a very serious interest in this topic, and I'm happy today to start to tell you about the plans DOT has for us to eventually get what we want in our community, which is less traffic, truck traffic on Grand and Flushing Avenues. I met with the DOT recently, and they told me that they will be making Maspeth a local truck route as opposed to a through truck route, which means that a truck, if it begins in any part of Queens, it can go through Maspeth. However, if it begins at another point, say Long Island or Brooklyn or the Bronx, that means they cannot use Maspeth as a through truck route. They have to use the Long Island Expressway. Now, this all began several years ago when Frank Principe came up with the Maspeth bypass plan. And at that time, we had a meeting here in Maspeth, and our Congressman Crowley, Congressman Weiner came up with some funding to begin this process. And I'd like to thank them for it. And I'd like to thank the Maspeth Chamber of Commerce and Community Board 5 for their input. Now, let me also say, before we can initiate the local truck route, it will have to go through Community Board 5, and it will be published in the newspaper. So people will have an opportunity to comment on that. This plan is the first step in the long term, and the long term being DOT plans on having the solution to this problem by the end of December. This is just the first step, and in December they will come forth with the full plan. Now, that plan may be the Principe plan. It may be the Principe plan plus something else incorporated into it, or it may be something totally different. So we don't know until the evaluation is done and the study is done what the ultimate plan will be. So I ask everyone to please be patient for the next few weeks. DOT is really working very hard on this, and I thank them for it. I thank our Congressman Crowley and Congressman Weiner for funding the program, and I look forward to the ultimate program and design coming forth in December. And at that time, all your local officials will be asked to contribute to the capital plan to make it happen. So again, thank you for coming today, and it's my pleasure now to introduce Congressman Joe Crowley.
Thank you, Marge, very much. I appreciate your input in making this a reality. I also want to thank the community. There's a good cross-section apparently here this morning, also expressing their concerns about this issue. I want to thank Councilman Joe Adabo, as well as my colleague in Congress, Anthony Weiner, who could not be here today but lends his support for this action, as well as Elizabeth Crowley, our local city councilwoman. I stood with this community and with Marge Markey and Anthony Weiner, and not yet then Elizabeth, because she had not been elected at that point, 4.5 years ago, along with people from this community, announcing federal funds to alleviate truck traffic here in Maspeth. That $100,000, which was culled with an additional $400,000 for federal dollars, is being used by the New York City DOT, as Marge has mentioned, on a Maspeth truck safety study, which is almost complete. But this study is looking at the feasibility of the Maspeth bypass. We appreciate the study on the Maspeth bypass, but 4.5 years is too long for Maspeth to suffer excessive truck traffic. So last March, we all stood together, and that included Elizabeth at that time, here to urge the New York City DOT to reclassify Grand Avenue as a local route to divert traffic from it. Today, we salute New York City DOT's decision last Friday to make this change, which will alleviate truck traffic in our community and improve the quality of life for our residents. This is a good first start in addressing the truck traffic, and this reclassification should be the first step towards implementing the Maspeth bypass plan and help improve the quality of life of Maspeth residents and the quality of life of the business community here as well. I also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, who was also instrumental as Ward 5 as well. Besides the noise, the congestion, and safety issues, excess trucks bring extra pollution and add poisonous contaminants to the air that are a threat to our health and our safety. So I'm pleased to stand today with the community of Maspeth in having achieved a good first step in remedying the excessive truck traffic here in Maspeth by declaring Grand Avenue a local truck route for local deliveries and pickups originating and terminating in our community. And so thank you all very much.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Council Member Elizabeth Crowley.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to thank my colleagues in government. I want to thank first Assemblywoman Marge Markey for hosting today's press conference, and Congressman Joseph Crowley, Congressman Anthony Weiner, who's not here, but together I know before I even became a city council member, we worked years and years on improving the lives of people and men in Maspeth. And we've worked so long and hard on improving truck access in terms of understanding how important it is to make sure that the trucks that come into Maspeth are only trucks that are making local deliveries, and that Maspeth isn't used as a doormat for other communities to have their truck deliveries. For far too long, Maspeth has had too much truck traffic. And now, because of the work that Marge has done, especially in the past couple of months working with the DOT, so that they realize, because unfortunately Maspeth is the only community in the city of New York that has to take through traffic. If you look at this particular map, you'll see these two red lines. And those red lines will now become blue lines because they'll only allow for local traffic. This would not have been done without the hard work of Assemblywoman Marge Markey. And Congressman Joseph Crowley and Congressman Anthony Weiner also helped so much putting together the funding from the federal government. And in time, we'll have more relief in terms of truck traffic, which will make Maspeth a better place to live, raise a family, and for people to come and shop. Currently, these trucks are bringing too much pollution, not only noise and air pollution, but we have to make sure that with these new plans implemented, it will improve the quality of life for people who live in Maspeth and also for the people who shop, which will also lead to the economic growth of the community, which is currently strong, will even become stronger thanks to the help of the Chamber of Commerce and also the local elected officials. Happy to be here today. Thank you both so much for your good work.
Thanks, Liz. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Director of Community Board 5, Gary Giordano.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming that we've had any truck traffic improvements in Maspeth, and the Community Board, as far back as 2001, submitted a plan to New York City DOT that was pretty much organized by Frank Principe to get the local truck traffic only to be on Grand Avenue and Flushing Avenue, to keep the trucks on the highway that were cutting through when the Kosciuszko Bridge basically is backing up. That's when we think a lot of them are getting off and taking a shortcut into Brooklyn. So this is a good first start. I think thank Congressman Crowley and Congressman Weiner for obtaining money for this study, but it's been a long, hard road as far as this all goes. And hopefully in December they're going to come up with a good plan to come close to that bypass plan that we submitted to them quite a few years ago. But to be honest with you, this is about the best news I've gotten in a while with regard to truck traffic on Grand Avenue and Flushing Avenue. So I thank you for your efforts, and we've got more to do.
Thank you, Gary. And now we'll take questions only from the press.
Why is that?
Why is that? Why is that?
Press conference.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
We have a press here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm from the press.
Go ahead. I wanted to know, well, first of all, how are you going to enforce this law? You would have
Good
to have
question.
trucks, right?
Thank you so much, and I did miss that in my notes. We are reaching out with the 104th Police Precinct and the traffic unit, which we have done in the past. We've had the traffic enforcement come down to Grand and 69 and the Long Island Expressway to stop trucks, to check their weight, to check their paperwork to see where they're going and where they're coming from. So we will definitely be working very closely with the police department.
I'm sorry, I kind of caught the tail end of this. So looking at this map here, the red is where the trucks are no longer allowed to go, is that
It
correct?
will be changed from red to blue.
From red to blue?
Right,
Local
between
traffic delivery.
Local traffic only
Pickup.
and not through traffic. And what that means is that a truck has to initiate their trip in Queens.
So it's currently red, trucks
Right
are allowed
now.
to go through, but now they won't be.
Right, if they're coming from Long Island, they're able to use this route.
Grand
To
or
come
Flushing.
through Maspeth
And
as
come
opposed to
through
stopping in
Maspeth.
So
Maspeth.
they can no longer go through Grand or Flushing,
Right.
where the red section is,
Right.
starting when
For
it's...
terminus elsewhere, is what I'm saying.
And DOT will be putting up signs, and as I said, we'll be working with our police department to make sure that it's enforced.
So I guess the other question to that is then, where would the truck traffic then be diverted to as a result of that?
Good question. Long Island Expressway would be one route that would be taken.
I think also it's important to remember that where these red lines end and then they become blue is where Queens ends and Brooklyn begins. So unfortunately, our borough, Queens, has to take the traffic that's actually going to Brooklyn, which isn't fair. It hasn't been fair. Now, this resolution will make it equal when it comes to truck traffic.
Marge, I have a
Yes.
question.
I got a two-parter. Once this goes through public review, and let's say it's
Yes.
approved, how long would it take for that to be implemented? Second part, how would truckers in the area and throughout the entire metropolitan area be notified of this change?
Fine, good question. The time frame for the completion of the bypass is the end of December. And now, I can only take a guess as far as the police department is concerned. They'll probably give truckers a warning, and then if they're found to do it a second time, be given a ticket.
I mean about the actual change from a through to a local, right?
They give out maps to the trucking industry, so it will be changed.
Would there be signage or?
Yes,
Signage.
there will be signage, which will be going up after the review process.